गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तम देवी सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः गुणत्रयविभागयोगः। रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्वं भवति भारत। रजः सत्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्वं रजस्तथा। सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते। ज्ञानं यदा तथा विद्यात् विद्धि वृद्धं सत्त्वमित्युत। लोभः प्रवृत्तिरारम्भः कर्मणामशमस्पृहा। रजस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे भरतर्षभ। अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च प्रमादो मोह एव च। तमस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे कुरु नन्दन। यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धे तु प्रलयं याति देहभृत्। तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलान् तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते। रजसि प्रलयं गत्वा कर्मसङ्गीषु जायते। तथा प्रलीनस्तमसि मूढयोनिषु जायते। कर्मणः सुकृत स्याहुः सात्विकं निर्मलं फलम्। रजसस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसः फलम्। सत्त्वात् सञ्जायते ज्ञानं रजसो लोभ एव च। प्रमादमोहौ तमसो भवतो ज्ञानमेव च। ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः। ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः। जघन्यगुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः। नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति गुणानेतानतीत्यत्रिन् देही देह समुद्भवान् जन्म मृत्युजरा दुःखैः विमुक्तो मृतमश्नुते ॐ तत्सत् सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु क्षम्यतां जय गुरुदेव सुमाजी will you be able to continue please
Yeah, just a minute. I will just.
no problem no problem no problem I will chant further
Just, yeah.
अर्जुन उवाच कैर्लिङ्गैस्त्रीन् गुणानेतान् अतीतो भवति प्रभो किमाचार कथं चैतां स्त्रीन् किमाचार कथं चैतान् त्रीन् गुणानतिवर्तते श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रकाशं च प्रवृत्तिं च मोहमेव च पाण्डव न द्वेष्टि सम्प्रवृत्तानि न निवृत्तानि काङ्क्षति उदासीनवदासीनो गुणैर्यो न विचाल्यते गुणान् वर्तन्त इत्येव योऽवतिष्ठति नेङ्गते
So, from which verse we have to start today? Or you're continuing, Belaji? You finished the chanting?
Yeah, I finished the chanting. Kshamita, I really don't know which was the verse yesterday.
21. We have to start from 21.
Yeah.
Arjuna Uvacha from that.
Yeah. Arjuna Uvacha. Yeah.
Okay, I will just chant once again. Arjuna Uvacha कैर्लिङ्गैस्त्रीन् गुणानेतान् अतीतो भवति प्रभो किमाचारः कथं चैतान् स्त्रीन् गुणानतिवर्तते क्षम्यताम् इट् इस् किमाचारः कथं चैतान् त्रीन् गुणानतिवर्तते अर्जुन उवाच said Prabho, O Lord, kaihi lingaihi. By what characteristics? Etan trin gunan. These three gunas atitah bhavati. Does he become the one who has crossed? Kim acharah. What is his conduct? Katham cha. And how?
Gas off ekne baguner.
Trin gruna. Etan trin gunan. These three gunas ativartate. Does he go beyond? Arjuna uvacha Prabho kaihi lingaihi. I am not able to read. Kaihi lingaihi etan trin gunan atitah bhavati kim acharah katham cha etan trin gunan ativartate. Kindly continue, Sumaji.
Yeah. Arjuna said,
Jai Gurudev, you have to unmute yourself.
yeah. Arjuna said, O Lord, by what characteristics does he become recognizable as one who has crossed these three gunas? What is his conduct? And how does he transcend these three gunas? Arjuna wants to know by what indications he can recognize the person who has transcended these three gunas. And further, what is his conduct, achara? This is a more general way of asking what he had already asked before. He had asked in the second chapter while asking about the sthita prajna. How would he sit? How would he sit? Would he sit? How would he walk? Would he walk? How would he speak? Would he speak? Here he asks an important question in addition, and that is, how does he transcend these three gunas? Is there a way out? Even though there are three questions, Shankara reduces them to two. The first two are with reference to a description or a way of recognizing a wise man. The third refers to the means of transcending these gunas. In reply to the first part of this question, Lord says, Shri Bhagavanuvacha
प्रकाशं च प्रवृत्तिं च मोहमेव च पाण्डव न द्वेष्टि सम्प्रवृत्तानि न निवृत्तानि काङ्क्षति. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha said, Pandava, O Pandava Arjuna, Prakasham cha, brightness, Pravrittim cha, and activity, Moham eva cha, and even delusion, some pravrittani, that have come to occur, na dveshti, nivruttani, na kankshati, he does not long for. Nivruttani, those that have gone away, na kankshati, he does not long for. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Pandava, Prakasham cha, Pravrittim cha, Moham eva cha, Sampravrittani, na dveshti, Nivruttani, na kankshati.
Shri Bhagavan said, O Arjuna, brightness and activity and even delusion that have come to occur, he does not despise, nor does he long for those that have gone away. The Gunatita neither despises nor longs for the manifestation of the gunas. Prakasha is the product of sattva, such as alertness, a cheerful disposition, etc. etc. Pravrti is activity prompted by desire and is the product of rajas. Moha, delusion, is a product of tamas. And here we can include dullness, apathy, etc. When these come into being, he does not loathe them, na dveshti. When they go away, he does not long for them, na nivirtanti kankshati. They are clearly recognized as products of the three gunas. So, products of the three gunas, prakasha, sattva is alertness and cheerfulness. Activity is the product of desire. Moha or delusion is the product of tamas. Delusion includes dullness and apathy and other such qualities. So when these come into being, he does not loathe them. Na dveshti. When they go away, he does not long for them. Na nivrittanti kankshati.
Na
They are clearly
nivrittani.
recognized as products. Na nivritani kamshati. Thank you. They are clearly recognized as products of the three gunas. When he experiences confusion or dullness, he knows that tamas has become. When he experiences confusion or dullness, he knows that tamas has become predominant and makes no conclusion about himself on the basis of the effect of tamas, and that he sees manifesting in his mind. Similarly, when he finds restlessness and an inclination to pursue activity, he knows this only as the effect of rajas. When he experiences sukha, he knows sattva is responsible and does not get bound by it. He is neither repulsed nor attracted by these experiences because of his very clear understanding that they are all products of the gunas. As they occur, sampravartani, he does not judge himself because he does not include himself in them. Ah, this is the clue. As they occur, sampravartani, he does not judge himself because he does not include himself in them. The mind is subject to gunas and therefore it will sometimes be dull also. When a jnani is yawning, he does not think that he has fallen away from his swarupa as Satchitananda. When he yawns, he recognizes that there is yawning, nothing more than that. When there is dullness, the mind is dull. When the mind is bright, he recognizes that it is bright. And when it is rather restless, he sees the mind is restless. Being beyond the gunas, he has no problem at all. The attachment or involvement of the Atma with the gunas is like the involvement of the space with the pot, with a pot. Whether the pot is small or large, space is not in any way affected. Similarly, Atma, though very much present in the mind, remains unaffected. The sense of I, for one, who knows this, is in Satchit Ananda Atma. The sense of I, for one, who knows this, is in Satchit Ananda Atma, not in the thought modifications. So much awareness we must get into. That where the I is, not in the thought modifications. Therefore, he has no anxiety about a particular mode of the mind. If it goes, it goes. If it comes, it comes. He does not bother about it because he is beyond the gunas, gunatita. Whatever the gunas present is fine with him. In this, there is nothing good or bad. Shall I continue or you want me to repeat this paragraph?
Yeah, please repeat.
Repeat, yeah. Two important things are here, no? The gunatita neither despises nor longs for the manifestation of the gunas. Prakasha is the product of sattva, such as alertness, a cheerful disposition, etc. Pravritti is activity prompted by desire and product of rajas. Moha, delusion, is a product of tamas. And here we can include dullness, apathy, etc. When these come into being, he does not loathe them, nor na dveshti. When they go away, he does not long for them. Na nir, nir, nivritani, na nivritani kangshanti. Na nivritani kangshanti. they are clearly recognized as products of the three gunas. When he experiences confusion or dullness, he knows that tamas has become predominant and makes no conclusion about himself on the basis of the effect of tamas that he sees manifesting in his mind. Similarly, when he finds restlessness and an inclination to pursue activity, he knows this only as the effect of rajas. When he experiences sukha, he knows sattva is responsible and does not get bound by it. He is neither repulsed nor attracted by these experiences because of his very clear understanding that they are all products of the gunas. As they occur, sampravrittani, he does not judge himself because he does not include himself in them. So we need to catch ourselves, not to get caught in these thoughts. The mind is subject to gunas and therefore it will sometimes be dull also. When a jnani is yawning, he does not think he has fallen away from the swarupa as Sat Chittananda. When he yawns, he recognizes that there is yawning, nothing more than that. When there is dullness, the mind is dull. When the mind is bright, he recognizes that it is bright. And when it is rather restless, he sees the mind is restless. Being beyond the gunas, he has no problem at all. The attachment or involvement of the Atma with the gunas is like the involvement of the space with a pot. Whether the pot is small or large, space is not in any way affected. Similarly, Atma, very much present in the mind, remains unaffected. The sense of I for one who knows this is in Satchit Ananda Atma, not in the thought modifications. The sense of I for one who knows this is in Sat Chit Ananda Atma, not in the thought modifications. Therefore, he has no anxiety about a particular mode of the mind. If it goes, it goes. If it comes, it comes. He does not bother about it because he is beyond the gunas, gunatita. Whatever the gunas present is fine with him. In this, there is nothing good or bad. Knowing the definition of the gunatita is not for judging others.
What is the line before that? Then the previous paragraph, the last line. Sorry.
This one, the attachment.
Yeah, that.
The attachment or involvement of the Atma with the gunas is like the involvement of the space with the pot. Whether the pot is small or large, space is not in any way affected. Similarly, Atma, though very much present in the mind, remains unaffected.
Mm.
If these thought modulations come in the mind, Atma is just a witness. It's not getting caught up in that. The sense of I for one who knows this, that is the one who has crossed the guna, one who is a gunatita, he knows that the sense of I is in Sat Chit Ananda Atma, not in the thought modifications. Therefore, he has no anxiety about a particular mode of the mind. If it goes, it goes. If it comes, it comes. He does not bother about it because he is beyond the gunas, gunatita. Whatever the gunas present is fine with him. In this, there is nothing good or bad. Knowing the definition of the gunatita is not for judging others. So here we judge ourselves. So we should not judge ourselves, nor should we judge others. So both things. Knowing the definition of
So
Gunatita.
in the previous one basically describes what each guna is supposed to be, and that for jnani or even us, like not let it go, like not attaching with the atma, like l- let that uh, let the way
This
we
is
feel,
in,
like sattva meaning like alertness and cheerfulness, right? And then the
yeah,
rajas is the desire prompting the activity, whereas
yeah,
the tamas is dullness, apathy, and delusion.
delusion.
Delusion. So,
Yeah.
despite any of the things that can come into being, but it doesn't affect him or affect the person. So,
You're not very clear. I'm not able to get your question clearly. I don't know if it's so for the
sorry,
others.
I'm probably talking a little bit further away from my laptop. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay. No, I'm just saying, like, Gunatita is, he's explaining about Gunatita here, that who overcame the gunas, right? I mean, this is also
yeah,
applying for us,
yes.
like
So
regular,
through Arjuna's question, we get clarified that how does a Gunatita behave? Arjuna asks, no? And how do we
mm,
recognize?
right? He
So
neither
Bhagwan,
despises nor longs for the manifestation of
yeah,
the gunas. So when
yeah,
if it comes, he doesn't hate it. If it doesn't come, also he doesn't long for that kind of
yeah.
thing. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay, got
Because
it.
because
Thank you.
his sense of I is attached to Atma, not to the modifications in the mind. Guna is
Right.
in the mind, no? All these gunas come and go in the mind.
Yeah,
So
that
he
like
is
the further
very,
the chap that verse number 5 or 4, I think we read nimatnanti, like seemingly it bind to
correct.
dehinam, right? So
Yeah,
that is it's seemingly like that, but it's not really binding to the atma.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is very clear for a jnani, but for us, we quite often or more often get caught in that seemingly we get bound.
Right, right. So the thing is, uh, how do we, like you read it in the previous one and also another one? It's a phenomenon. It's not like you have the guna like that. It's just a phenomena. So nobody like stuck with this kind of. I mean, there may be, but then not one person. And one type of guna is going to stay there forever.
Hmm. Yeah. So knowing the definition of gunatita is not for judging others. It is important to understand that this is not meant for judging, but for understanding yourself. Nor can you determine whether someone else is gunatita or not, because Shankara says it is not perceivable by another. Unless you can see someone else's Atma, you cannot know whether he is a Gunatita or not. The condition of Gunatita is identical with the Swarupa of Atma, and the knowledge of the Atma is that it is Gunatita. I'll read the sentence again. Unless you can see someone else's Atma, you cannot know whether he is Gunatita or not. The condition of Gunatita is identical with the Swarupa of Atma, and the knowledge of the Atma is that it is Gunatita. Shankara says, it cannot be known by another because it is known only to oneself. Only you can know whether you have Gunatita or not. If you judge yourself,
Kshamedam,
Guna,
Sumaji, it is Gunatitatva.
Gunatita, okay, yeah, correct. Only you can know whether you have Gunatitatva or not.
Gunati Tattva.
Gunatitatva.
Gunati Tattva.
Only you can know whether you have Gunatitatva or not. If you judge yourself on the basis of your mind, you have to understand the reason for such a judgment. Being Gunatita is nothing but absence of judging yourself on the basis of your mind or any other thing. Being Gunatita is nothing but absence of judging yourself on the basis of your mind or any other thing. With reference to money, one is rich or poor. From the standpoint of the body, one is old or young. All these judgments are within the gunas. To be a gunatita is to recognize the self as it is. Very apt knowledge.
Yeah, very
Whole thing is
beautiful.
just to be, not to.
Yeah,
The whole thing
very,
is
very
just to be.
profound.
Yeah. All these judgments are within the guna. So even when you judge, judge what guna we are in, that also we come under
See,
the
that is only for our understanding. For us to understand, oh, so this is my rajas that is working up now, or tamas is coming up. It's only as an understanding, but this knowledge that we are actually gunatita, and that beautiful example of the pot and space, how untouched that space is despite the size of the pot. And it's just contained in the pot. It's not affected by the size or the shape or the texture of the pot, what color the pot is. So whether it is a white, red, or a black pot, whether it is sattva, rajas, or tamas, space is untouched. Similarly, Atma is
and this
untouched.
example is also nice. That being gunatita is nothing but absence of judging yourself on the basis of your mind or any other thing. So it's not just the mind. Any other thing. But then this is also a thought in the mind, isn't it? I am rich, I'm poor. It's also a thought in the mind. So everything
Yeah,
is
you look at yourself as apart from all of that, no?
yeah.
You
So
do not attach yourself to any of that. Again, you're coming back to the witness consciousness.
Witness your thoughts. That's the baseline. Stay there only.
I think if you judge yourself, then you will start judging others also. So Gunatita will not
Naturally.
judge himself also.
Yeah,
See,
correct.
if you look at this, we are all coming, this is all about the space of the intellect. If you look at the 7 levels of existence, this judging ourselves or judging others is all happening in the realm of the intellect. So he's slowly taking us through even the intellect. Otherwise, we can just get caught up in even analysis. Okay, where am I? What is happening to me? Am I progressing? All this is part of judgment.
Yeah.
That is where that absolute Shraddha is required again and again. You're on the right track. Just keep going.
Like almost all the activities are driven by the desire, right? I mean, Oh, I mean,
Yes,
for regular
activity is
activity.
driven by desire, correct.
So whatever we are doing in a given day, I mean, what is to be done is something separate. Then there is something like you want to do that is that there are two different activities then, but most of the activities fall under Rajasic.
All the
But
activities.
if it is on the Shastra based,
Mm,
that activity you have to do, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Shastra Vihita, whatever activity is there for us in that role and position, we got to do. That is
See,
not driven by desire. That is your,
That's a routine stuff.
like Kshatriya has to, for Arjuna, his
Mhm.
role as a Kshatriya, he has to wage the fight in the battle. So that is his normal thing. That is not run by desire. But our other activities, which the desires which control us and make us do things,
Yeah.
that is, we are bound. There we are bound.
But
I
when
mean, if
the
you consider,
gunas come, he doesn't have to dveshti or kankshati. He has to see it is coming and it's going like that. So he should not hold on to it. I
he
am
will
getting
not hold on to it.
irritated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you consider all these gunas as a triangle, each tip is one tip is sattva, other is rajas, and the other is tamas. And they, in the center of the triangle, imagine it's an equilateral triangle with equal sides. And then he is in the center of that, in the middle of that. He's like the pole in there. I'm talking of the Atma or the Gunatita. This triangle continuously keeps moving depending on what is predominant at that particular time, that will manifest. But he is there untouched in the center of it, like the axle of the wheel.
Hmm.
It will go on as long as you have a body, physical body. Even a jnani, even a Jivan
Yeah.
Mukta will continue to live. He will continue to need to rest. That tamas will be there and there will be some activity. He's doing it. But that beautiful verse in chapter 5, Spashyan, Sprishan, Jigran, Nashnan, Gachan, all this is happening, but he is not the doer. He is just the witness there. So though the Rajasic, all the activities based on Rajas are happening, he's he's untouched by them. So also when there is knowledge coming out of him, he is not holding on to that knowledge. He is not holding on to the pleasure, the sukha that comes out of sattva. He is beyond that. Problem is sometimes for us as sadhaks, we might get caught up in just that sattva. And like
Yeah.
Dr. Savita ji had mentioned last time, a couple of days ago, she said getting out of sattva is actually difficult because it's so pleasurable. You want to stay there. Knowledge is so beautiful, inviting. You want to just stay there. No doubt,
Yeah.
knowledge is required, but you must understand that knowledge also has its role. After the role is done, just like that, how that last stick you put in the fire, sacrificial fire, the one that you stoke the fire, even that is dropped. Knowledge also has to be, will get dropped eventually when the time is right. Till such time, we continue. But with this understanding that we are beyond even that, essentially.
So that the knowledge, when you realize yourself, as well as that it'll probably be dropped when you have that Sarvatra Samadarshana, like, and then the last, yesterday we were reading, excuse me, sorry, where the Atma binds with Brahman. So that unity happens. That's when then the whole thing drops. That's Jivan Brahman, uniting together or bind together. That was one shloka we read yesterday.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
For a mumukshu, not judging oneself on the basis of the gunas is very useful as a means to becoming prepared to know the self. Aha, so here is only preparation. For a mumukshu, not judging oneself on the basis of the gunas is very useful as a means to becoming prepared to know the self. One has to learn to look at the disposition of the mind as simply as the mind. It keeps changing, and that is the nature of the mind. When you see that, you have space to look at yourself as gunatita. Wow. So the nature of the mind
Can you
is
read
to
again?
for a mumukshu, not judging oneself on the basis of the gunas is very useful as a means to becoming prepared to know the self. One has to learn to look at the disposition of the mind as simply the mind. It keeps changing, and that is the nature of the mind. When you see that, you have space to look at yourself as gunatita. We are not interested in changing the mind. We are interested in seeing it for what it is. This is for a mumukshu. Before that, there can be a stage in which the intensity of the mental dispositions is very great due to unresolved childhood pain. So true. So true. I was just thinking when I was reading this, how do we create that space? Because we are so caught up by some energy. So this is where it is.
Just
Before
repeat
there,
this again.
yeah, for a mumukshu, not judging oneself on the basis of the gunas is very useful as a means to becoming prepared to know the self. One has to learn to look at the disposition of the mind as simply the mind. Mind keeps changing, and that is the nature of the mind. When you see that, you have space to look at yourself as gunatita. So first is to say I'm not the mind or contents of the mind, and then recognize mind keeps changing. So once you are kind of steady there, then you will get space to look at yourself as gunatita. We are not interested in changing the mind. See this? This is where we get caught. We kind of trying to change our mind. Oh, I don't want this thought, that thought. I don't want to get involved here or there. So this is one more thing we have to do. We are not interested in changing the mind. We are interested in seeing it for what it is. This is for a mumukshu. Before we do that, we have to resolve this. This is the correct thing. Before that, there can be a stage in which the intensity of the mental dispositions is very great due to an unresolved childhood pain. That must be dealt with differently. First, we reduce the subjective to the objective. The responses to current situations are rooted in childhood problems and have nothing to do with realities. So all of us have to work out this unresolved childhood pain. So I'll read this again. Before that, there can be a stage in which the intensity of the mental disposition is very great due to the unresolved childhood pain. That must be dealt with differently. First, we reduce the subjective to the objective. The responses to current situations are rooted in childhood problems and have nothing to do with reality. Very true. The subjectivity has to be removed and things should be looked at objectively. Then the mind can be seen as subject to three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Once that is clear, you can appreciate Atma being Gunatita. Is there any psychologist in this group? Because we'll need little more explanation on this, the subjectivity and objectivity. I didn't get it.
I think when you say subjectivity, whatever happened in the child, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but this is what I understood. Like, as if you are a victim and you feel uh, like sad about it, but or being responsible kind of thing. But given that um, child nature, um, that there is a fear or something might happen, all that kind of things could have bothered. So whatever happened, the child is helpless. And so I'm thinking that you look at it objectively. I mean, it is in the past, but how you overcome it, that that is something like that. That some people may have very deep kind of what they call post-traumatic um, thing that will go for counseling and they look at it more objectively, what would have been, what could have happened or something like that. So look at it more of come out of the depression or the trauma or things like that, or talk it out. Most of the time we repress it.
It is, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mara. This is with respect to the responses to current situations. I'm not a psychologist, but my daughter is an art psychotherapist. I can pass this by her and get some um, insight. But what she has shared with me on some occasions is that, see, it is again to do with the response to current situations. These are the ones rooted in childhood memories or childhood pains. So when you are responding to a particular situation right now in this context, supposing there is a behavior that is overtaking you and the you're a little alert to what is happening, then you realize that, hey, this is coming because of my childhood experience. It's the child within me that is showing up here. That is where you become more objective rather than subjective. If you're subjective, then you will be caught off. You will be caught off guard, and the child in you will respond to that situation based on what your uh, childhood pain experiences have been. But if you're objective, you will look at the situation as it is. You will de-link your childhood issues, unresolved issues from that, and you look at things as they are. Because she often tells me, she says, oh, when such a situation has happened and she is prompted to, she wants to respond in such a, in a particular manner, she stops to think and she says, oh, this is the child issue is coming up here. This is no place here. So let it go. I'm letting the child issue go and let the adult, the one that is responding to the situation, respond.
So beautifully explained, Dr. Brahmaraji. Many times, like we feel, no, the momentary jealousy or momentary uh, greed. But the moment we realize, we come back to that, our swabhava and swarupa, the difference, that I'm not a kid no more now. Like Gurudev always says, no, you don't need require those toys now.
Thank you so much. So first we have to recognize in ourselves what is the issue, isn't it? Why are we behaving like this? What is the issue? And then maybe this is some unresolved childhood pain, and therefore it is not the right thing right now. It is not, what does that say? It has nothing to do with reality now.
Most
And
of
then
this
we are
comes,
able,
if you look at our own lives, some of our behavior is very patterned. The same
hmm,
pattern repeats. Mostly these are the ones that are linked to these childhood issues, unresolved issues.
hmm.
Basically, you could call them vasanas. So that has to be understood, not just subdued. I don't think we should subdue them and say, oh, I should be
No, no,
like this.
not subdue. It says you have to, they have to be
Understand.
dealt with differently, it says.
Yeah.
First, you have to reduce the subjective to the objective.
Mm.
The responses to current situations are rooted in childhood problems that have nothing to do with reality. The subjectivity has to be removed and things should be looked at objectively.
This
So that,
paragraph is also very important
yeah,
as parents, as how we bring up our children, especially if there are some new parents or people out here who have small kids. It is so important as to what samskaras we give them, how we bring them up, and not brandish them. So often as parents, we want them to fit into society. In some other chapter, we read about how the society has certain norms and certain concepts, and we uh, are made to fit into that as children. You know, so are we creating prototypes? Are we creating our children in order to fit them in society, or are we bringing them up in the truest form, as in letting them just nurture their values that they're born with? Because every child, when they're born, they are innocent. They have all the human values. It is only as they grow up we tell them, you should not do this, you should not do that. They want to be free. They want to, they're non-judging, they're accepting of everyone. But then we put in these clauses. When they go out, when we go out, we tell them, oh, you should behave like this, you should behave like that. We put in a lot of restrictions. Also very important for parents.
and adults also, because our parents probably had or didn't have this knowledge, and whatever knowledge they had, they brought us up with. And we have grown up with that values. But in the process, not just parents, even the society, values of the society is imprinted on us from childhood. Some of it is healthy, some of it is not. Some creates fear, and that becomes a pattern. So we need to, that's, we have to,
It
has to
depends
be
on
dealt
what
with
the childhood,
differently.
yeah, the childhood problem related to what, like, physical abuse or sexual abuse. I mean, there are so many different kind of childhood problems, like you mentioned about how they bring up brandish, like fitting into society, like we brought up in a certain way without teaching them value of everything, food, money, and whatever, like
Yeah, fear is one thing from childhood, not
yeah,
these extreme forms of trauma. I'm talking about fear, which is there in adults
right,
also, children also.
right. Like there is some examples, like I don't know. I mean, in this society, like see, you don't want to go alone and all these things, right? How
Hmm.
are we going to tell a child always you have to hold their hand and spoon feed them and all that? and even they grow up, they can't come out of that habit, right? I mean, uh,
Correct.
they can't think of themselves, even do a small chore themselves, you know. It's a lot of complexity to it. So if somebody who had, like, they call it as, they know the ropes, you know, like street smart and this and that, you know, like they call so many different way of, like, first of all, the viveka, you know,
Because
what is right and wrong, that kind of thing we know. Some kids, they don't even have. When I seen, when I took my daughter to college, they don't have a clue when their parents, they leave them in the hostel, what they're supposed to do.
so it's judging from
Eh,
childhood,
Huge.
how they have been judged or how we have been judged in our childhood. That is there with
That
us.
is also true. Yes, yes, right. Yeah.
Also
So
with
that is
Always
discipline,
they
that is what
compare.
we have to resolve. That is what we have to resolve.
also, unfortunately, the schooling system is such that the Indian education system, basically, because I'm exposed to that, is it tends to put everyone in one basket. It does not individually look at every child as unique.
We can't
So
hear
there are
you.
people. You can't hear me. Okay,
Yeah,
is it better now?
Yeah.
yeah.
So based on, see, there are children who are not very good with maths, or there are children who are not very good with language. But then the schooling system is such that they brandish them. They say, oh, uh, you're lazy, or you're a dunce. It's such a sad state of affairs. So
It
if we
kills
can,
the self-esteem of the child, no?
yeah, and then they grow up throughout the childhood
Uh,
thinking that they're not good enough. They
yeah, so
compare
that
themselves.
has to
You're
be
not.
resolved. That is what
That has to be resolved.
Bhagwan, yeah,
So there are
those
so
judgment
many
about
examples.
ourselves.
Mm.
Sorry. Yeah, you go ahead.
So there are so many instances where these childhood, as we grow up, these these pains come up as knots within the system, and these knots have to be resolved. If we are responding to the current situation with these knots in our mind, what comes out
Hmm,
will only be a confused mess again. You will not
correct.
see reality as it is. You're
Yeah.
still you're knotted by that subjective experience. So that is what we have to untie that knot, or let it be, or understand it. When you understand it, it will slowly resolve. It will loosen its grip on us. So everything again comes back to viveka and vichara.
I'll read this paragraph again. Before that, there can be a stage in which, see here again, Bhagwan says there can be a stage. So it's not for everybody. So there can be a stage in which the intensity of the mental dispositions is very great due to unresolved childhood pain. That must be dealt with differently. First, we reduce the subjective to the objective. The responses to current situations are rooted in childhood problems and have nothing to do with realities. The subjectivity has to be removed and things should be looked at objectively. Then the mind can be seen as subject to three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Once this is clear, you can appreciate Atma being gunatita. Yeah. So mental maturity is needed to become a gunatita. These are the characteristics of a wise person, but how does he express himself in the world? This is pointed out by a few verses here. The characteristics of a wise person. Anybody wants any more discussion on this, or we go forward?
Can we summarize what we read in the last one? This is the one he is talking about how the Gunatita. Sorry.
So knowing the definition of the Gunatita is not for judging others.
Yeah. No, I mean the overall, like what Arjuna asked Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is responding to his questions, right? In this
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yeah. So initially, Bhagavan gave the characteristics of the three gunas.
Mm.
So then Arjuna wanted to know, he had three questions. One is, what are the characteristics of a person who is a gunatita, and how do you recognize that that person is a gunatita? This is my understanding. Please add. Others can also please add. So Bhagavan gives the thing about the products of sattva, which is prakasha, light, alertness, cheerfulness, all that. So if you see somebody with these dispositions, then he is exhibiting sattvika. But a gunatita is not affected whether these things stay or come and go. He is not affected. So first he gives them characteristics of recognizing. So recognizing sattva, that person will be alert, cheerful. Then characteristic of rajas is activity, always wanting to do something. Rajas is the product of, pravritti is the activity promoted by desire and is the product of rajas.
I
So
got it. Yeah.
restlessness. Then moha or delusion is the product of tamas. It includes dullness, apathy, and things like that. A gunatita, he recognizes these things are of the mind and not of himself. So he is not affected by whether they come or go. He doesn't resist or crave for them. Does not loathe. So there's no dvesha, raga dvesha for these gunas to stay or go. He just recognizes, oh, they've come, they've gone, they've gone. That's it. He is not involved in it. He's looking at it as a witness. So that example of pot and space, very beautiful example he gives, that how the pot is not affected by the space in the pot is not affected by the size of the pot, big or small. Similarly, this jnani is also not affected by what is in the mind, whether it is sattva, rajas, or tamas. He knows that they will come and go. The nature of the mind is that. So the mind is subject to gunas, and therefore it will sometimes be dull also, bright also, restless also, all that. And he will never forget his swarupa, which is Sat Chit Ananda. The jnani is yawning. He does not think that he has fallen away from his swarupa of Sat Chit Ananda. So he recognizes everything as a result of the gunas, whether sattva, rajas, or tamas. So then this pot thing he tells. Similarly, Atma, though very much present in the mind, remains unaffected. So the I is always attached to Sat Chit Ananda Atma, not to the thought modifications in the mind. So Bhagavan gives these explanation of how this Gunatita person identifies these thought modulations. And then he says it is not for judging others. So knowing these Gunatita, it is not for judging others because You
You
cannot
only
know.
know yourself, right? It's not like
Ah,
somebody, you're not
yeah,
identifying somebody with that, this,
yeah,
they
correct.
become Gunatita or not. It's only for you to know.
Unless you are a Gunatita, you will not be able to see someone else's Atma. Is that what he says? Unless you can
Mm,
see someone else's Atma, you cannot know whether he is a Gunatita or not. So, how will you know the other person's Atma? Only if you know your Atma. So,
yeah. Now the other one is to before that Gunatita, the last one you read is to resolve the childhood,
yeah,
painful childhood problems. Okay,
yes.
kind of wondering what that was about.
So, he says for a Mumukshu, we know the mind keeps changing, and that is the nature of the mind. So you have to give yourself some space, find some space so that you can look at yourself as Gunatita. And to see that, you should have your mind free from any past impressions, especially unresolved childhood pain. It can be small pain or a big pain. Even sibling rivalry can be a small unresolved childhood pain. Many children have this, no, oh, my parents like my sister or brother better than me, something like that. That's an unresolved childhood pain, isn't it? So you have to resolve that. It would be interesting to find a psychologist how they handle these children who come with such unresolved childhood pain. How do they must be dealt differently. That's what.
Also wondering why Swamiji's mentioned only childhood and why not something that is ongoing.
We read that
Ongoing is
when
because of childhood, no. Your ongoing behavior is because of something that is not resolved in your childhood. See, in childhood, we are judged all the time by our parents, by our teachers, by the society, even by our friends
even
as
now
we
that's happening. It's not
grow. Correct.
only in childhood. No, the
Yeah, that is because that judgment has been ingrained from childhood. So that is why as adults we say, oh, they have that many car, I don't have this car. Or so we are judging, we are comparing. So it is from childhood, this judging thing has
you
been
know,
with us.
just to give you an example, I and my sister were riding in a bicycle when we were little, and my sister was sitting in the back seat, and she got bit by the dog. Even now, I have fear of dog. Even I know the dog is so good. I, afraid to touch the dog, or that fear sometimes happens in your mind. Maybe I identify that, but try to overcome that. Try to pet the dog. Actually, I was the first dog I held was like my uh, neighbor, like she's dog, and then the other one was my son has a dog, but that's I'm still afraid. It's very big. So something like that happens. Uh, yeah.
Jai Gurudev, I would also like to share an example of Edison, who became the great person who invented bulb. When he was young in his childhood, he used to go to school, and one day the teacher gives him a letter, okay, go and give it to your mother. So she doesn't read that time, but she has tears in her eyes. And the child asks, Mom, what has the teacher written? She says that the teacher has written, you're so intelligent that they don't have teachers to teach you. This stuck in his mind, and he grew up to become a great invention for bulb. One day when his mother was no more, he went to his old house and he found that letter. So what was written in that? That your child is such a slow learner that we cannot keep him in school.
So, he had tears, and just the thought what the mother gave him, he grew up to become the great person, Edison. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why the sanskaras can be given only up to 5, 6 years. So they become major impressions on their mind, and their whole life they behave on that impressions.
That is why positive reinforcement is so important.
Dr. Zanga, I have
Rather than,
written in chat.
yeah, Dr. Renu has written, she's mentioned, inner child is in each one of us, and inner child healing is crucial. Inner child healing is so important and is a subject. Yeah. So rather than say you are lazy, the way we tell our children, a very beautiful example shared just now regarding Thomas Alva
Simi,
Edison.
Simi, Simi.
Simi, yeah. So, we should pick up what they can do and say, yes, you can do this. And that, not just them, I mean, we can apply it even to ourselves. We tend to keep judging and victimizing ourselves or feeling ourselves as culprits. So that is when we'll have to talk. This inner talk that we have in our mind is so important. I think Sumaji is out of the. Just a second.
My computer ran out of battery, so I
Okay,
lost.
I understand. Okay,
So
I
I
was wondering
reconnected. I have
what happened.
reconnected, but I can't find the page in which we were.
Do you want me to share the screen?
I'll share now. Oh, what happened? Okay. Yeah, I'll share now, but just
Okay.
tell me the page.
Yeah.
The screening has failed to start. Oh, maybe you have to share then. It says screen sharing has failed to start.
Don't worry. Let me share.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that I had
No,
not
it's
switched
fine.
on, but
It's fine. No issues at all. In fact, I think it's
I think
time
I
for our.
missed some beautiful this thing about Thomas Alva Edison, no? That was?
Yeah, it was about Thomas Alva Edison.
Yes, yes.
I think we were on verse 20.
21.
21.
Oh, we started with 21 today, so we'd have been 23 maybe. Go down, go down. Here we are. Here we are. 23 we have to start. So we were here that to resolve, one has to resolve the childhood pain, how we were judged in our childhood by our parents and our friends and family and teacher and everybody. And that pain we have to resolve. And only then the mind becomes mature, and only in a mature mind can you become a gunatita. This is what I got today. Should we continue to the next thing, or we break for Manana?
Yeah, I think because we did a lot of Manana already on this, I think it's good to
Okay.
just go to the next verse, chant that, and then.
Yeah, the
In about
characteristics
5
of a
minutes.
wise person. Yeah.
उदासीनवदासीनो गुणैर्यो न विचाल्यते गुणा वर्तन्त इत्येव Yovatiष्ठति nengate. Samadukkhasukkhasvastah samaloष्टाश्मकाञ्चनः तुल्यप्रिया प्रियो धीरः तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः मानापमानयोस्तुल्यः तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी गुणातीतः स उच्यते. Yah, he who, udasinavat asinaha, remaining seemingly indifferent, gunaihi, by the gunas, na vichalyate, is not shaken, yah, he who, gunaha vartante iti eva, the gunas alone are acting, thus thinking, avatishtati, abides, na ingate, the one who does not move from the vision of himself. Dhiraha, a wise man, Samadukha Sukhaha, who is the same with reference to pleasure and pain, Swastaha, who abides in oneself, Samaloshta Ashma Kanchanaha, who is the same with reference to a clod of earth, a stone, or gold, Tulya Priya Apriyaha, who is the same in pleasant and unpleasant situations, Tulya Ninda Atma Samstutihi, who is the same with reference to censure or praise of himself, Mana apamana yoho tulyaha, who is the same towards respect and insult, Mitra ari pakshayoho tulyaha, the same towards the views of a friend or an enemy, Sarva arambha parityagi, the one who has given up all undertakings, Guna atitaha, one who is beyond the gunas, Saha uchyate, he is called. He who, remaining seemingly indifferent, is not shaken by the gunas, and he who abides in himself, thinking that the gunas alone are acting, and the one who does not move from the vision of the self. The wise man who is the same with reference to pleasure and pain, abiding in himself, the same with reference to a clod of earth, a stone, or gold, the same in pleasant and unpleasant situations, the same with reference to censure or praise of himself, who is the same towards respect and insult, the same towards the views of a friend or an enemy, who has given up all undertakings. He is called the one who is beyond the gunas. I think we can stop here maybe and then do the Brahmajnana Valimala. Tomorrow we can start from here. This is page 29. Or 29 or 43, I don't know. This one shows 29.
But we didn't do the 23, right? Oh, you did all the three
They
together.
all came together, 23,
Oh, the
24,
characteristic of
25.
wise person. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
See, I was just trying, amazed at how it is, even in chapter 12, the first
Mm,
10, 11 shlokas or 12 shlokas were all about what the sadhak has to do. And the remaining verses, the remaining 8 verses in chapter 12 were all about the lakshanas of a wise person, of a jnani. Similarly, even in
mm,
this chapter 14, up until 22 or 21, they're all about the uh, different characteristics of the three gunas and what
right.
happens with each guna. And then he's
Mm.
talking about, and same with chapter 12, chapter 2 as well. He talks about the sthita prajna lakshanas
Siddha
towards it.
prajna, right. Yeah.
So in the beginning, it's all about the sadhak. In the end, it's all about the jnani, the enlightened being. Nice.
Solved with the Arjuna's question. This
Ah,
comes up very
right.
nicely. He has really nice questions, right? All this.
Sadhak and Mumukshu.
Mumukshu is same as Sadhak, no?
He means
Sadhak and
Sadhak
Mumukshu are the
means he
same.
was on the way. He was on the way to become the
Mumukshu is also a
Gunatita.
Sadhak only. Mumukshu is a person who wants to
Yeah,
be.
who desires. Yeah.
Yeah. Moksho me bhuyat iti ichha is a mumukshu. May
Hmm.
I get liberated? That
So
thought
this
of
is
wanting to be liberated also doesn't come to everyone. There are so many people who get up, live their life, and go to sleep. And this, it's a repeat every day till they actually pass on. So that is why this Advaita Vasana Pumsam Ishvara Anugraha Deva. There needs to be the grace of the Lord for us even to steer ourselves and start looking within and seeking and seek answers.
so we can say Sadhak to Mukta means free.
Correct.
He is enlightened.
Yes, fine. Yeah, Mukta or Jnani. If it is not adding to the already the list that we've added now, one is the Brahma Jnana Vali Mala, but I somehow have taken a liking to the Maya Panchakam.
Nirvana Chatakam, you know?
No, the Maya Panchakam.
Oh, Maya
Maya
Panchakam.
Panchakam is very nice. That one
It is very
line is
short and sweet,
yeah.
just a few
Yeah.
minutes. So if all of us
Short, yeah.
agree, maybe we can listen to that and then the Brahma Jnana Vali Mala. Sumaji will
quickly.
call upon you for that. Can you just share the screen and the video?
Aghatita Patasi Maya. What is that?
Aghatita Ghatana Patiyasi Maya.
Maya.
I put one slide, one video in our chat group. I don't know. I'm sure it's anybody had a chance to see it, but that's about that karma. You know, he explains it nicely. The part of Tattva Bodh. I mean, I'm sure if you have time, you can see it. It's nice.
Right.
Especially the diagram, you know, he makes a slide and gives examples. We didn't, I mean, at least it was a little bit more clearer to me, like they call it as visible effects and with the karma and invisible effects and all that. It's kindly, nicely described. So, I mean, I thought at least for the part of the slide, you could see it.
Yeah. We'll just chant the Loka Samasta. One second. Sumaji, can we just hold it 1 minute? Yeah.
I have paused it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have paused it.
Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev. Yeah, go ahead.
निरुपमनित्यनिरंशकेऽप्यखण्डे मयि चिति सर्वविकल्पनादिशून्ये घटयति जगदीश जीवभेदम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया श्रुतिशतनिगमान्तशोधकानपि अहह धनादिनिदर्शनेन सद्यः कलुषयति चतुष्पदाद्यभिन्ना न घटितघटना पडीयसी माया सुखचिदखण्डविबोधमद्वितीयम् वियदनलादिविनिर्मित्ते नियोज्य भ्रमयति भवसागरे नितान्तम् त्वघटितघटना पटीय स्वगतगुणवर्णजातिभेदे सुखचितिविप्रविडार्यहं कृतिं च स्फुटयति सुतदारकेहमोहम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया विधिहरिहरविभेदमप्यखण्डे बत विरचय्य बुधानपि प्रकामम् भ्रमयति हरिहरविभेदभावानघटितघटना पटीयसी माया त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया
असङ्गोऽहम् 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 पुनः पुनः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तोऽहम् निराकारोऽहमव्ययः भूमानन्दस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्योऽहम् निरवद्योऽहम् निराकारोऽहमच्युतः परमानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः शुद्धचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् आत्मा रामोऽहमेव च अखण्डानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रत्यक्षचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् शान्तोऽहम् प्रकृतेः परः शाश्वतानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तत्त्वातीतपरात्माहम् मध्यातीतः परशिवः मायातीतपरञ्ज्योतिः अहमेवाहमव्ययः चिदाकारोऽहमच्युतः सुखरूपस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः माया तत्कार्यदेहादि मम नास्त्येव सर्वदा स्वप्रकाशैकरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः गुणत्रयव्यतीतोऽहम् ब्रह्मादीनां च साक्ष्यहम् अनन्तानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः अन्तर्ज्योतिस्वरूपोऽहम् कूटस्थः सर्वगोऽस्म्यहम् सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः द्वन्द्वादिसाक्षिरूपोऽहम् अचलोऽहं सनातनः सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रज्ञानघन एवाहम् विज्ञानघन एव च अकर्ताहम् अभोक्ताहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः निराधारस्वरूपोऽहम् सर्वाधारोऽहमेव च आप्तकामस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तापत्रयविनिर्मुक्तः देहत्रयविलक्षणः अवस्थात्रयसाक्ष्यस्मि अहमेवाहमव्ययः दृग्दृश्यौ द्वौ पदार्थौ स्तः परस्परविलक्षणौ दृग्ब्रह्मदृश्यं मायेति सर्ववेदान्तडिण्डिमः अहं साक्षीति यो विद्यात् विविच्यैवं पुनः पुनः स एव मुक्तः स विद्वान् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः घटकुड्यादिकं सर्वं मृत्तिकामात्रमेव च तद्वद्ब्रह्म जगत्सर्वम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः अनेन वेद्यं सच्छास्त्रम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः अन्तर्ज्योति बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परः ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम् ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम्